Good morning. We're going to go ahead and get started. I have muted the audience, so towards the end when I am asking for questions, if you're on the computer, you can unmute yourself. If you are on the phone, you will need to press *6 in order to unmute yourself. So I want to be respectful of your time today. What I'm going to do is go through the program, kind of an overview of the program and the application and review process, and then I will go over the questions that were submitted and then open it up for any others that I may not have answered through the presentation. So the Career Coach program was started in 2015, and the goal is to have community college staff that go into the high schools, and through assessment and enrichment activities, they help the students find out what it is, what their career goals are, and then help match them with the educational pathway that meets these goals. So some of the enrichment activities, if you are on the computer, you can see my presentation. These include the class presentations, career fairs, scheduling job shadowing opportunities, and conducting site visits, job site visits. The coaches are expected to be aware of educational opportunities. These are going to be at their local college, but those in the surrounding colleges as well. Because if the student has a goal, let's say they want to go into culinary and the local college that the coach works for does not have that program, then the coach would then refer them to whomever is local that would have that. They also are to be engaged with local business needs, any local internship opportunities or career opportunities, so they can pass that information along to the high school students. They are required to maintain a relationship with local businesses, and I'll talk about that more in depth in just a little bit. These are some of the responsibilities of the career coach. They are the liaison between the high school and the community college. So they are going to need to know all of the rules and regulations for the high school as well as those for the community college. They're going to need to know community college advising policies and things of that nature, as well as the schedules and all of the different policies for the high school. The focus is making sure that the student gets placed in the appropriate pathway that meets their goals, that also aligns with the local industry needs. The coaches do serve multiple high schools. I do want to take a moment, and if you are going to be writing a proposal for the Career Coach program, make sure that you're not overwhelming your coach. If your coach is going to a different high school every day, it makes it difficult for them to develop the relationships that will make it easier to engage the students. So they will most likely serve more than one high school, but just trying to keep that balance where they can still appropriately serve the student. They are representatives of the community college system. Like I stated before, the career coaches provide developmental activities. A lot of times these are in partner with the career development coordinators at the high school, and these are called CDCs, as well as the high school counselors and other staff. The coaches provide individual and group career planning, so they may have the one-on-one sessions, but they also may do class presentations or a group project with a class. And like I stated before, the job shadowing and site visits, and helping the students to identify and apply to the college that meets their needs. This is sort of an overview of the Career Coach program. We are currently in 34 colleges. You'll see on the map, if you're able to see, if you're on the phone, I apologize. The blue is the 2018-2020 cohort for Career Coach. These are applicants that will need to apply this year in order to continue funding. And we also have in the purple our 2019-22 cohort, and they can apply as well for additional coaches. We currently serve 143 high schools with 72 career coaches. And you'll also see, this is based on last year's data, that we had over 1,000 workforce engagement activities. That is an important part of the Career Coach program. So I did want to review the application just a bit, because some people had specific questions about the application. So we do have the deployment plan. How is the coach going to go into the high school? So we're making sure that you are addressing the targeted need in the community. If the community has a need for hospitality, like maybe on the coast, or if there's a need for welding or electrical linemen, how are you going to meet that need? Making sure that the coach is sufficiently supported when they're in the LEA location. Making sure that it's an adequate and professional space so that they could have a one-on-one interaction with the student in privacy, and it's not, say, a table at the library, because they would not have privacy for that instance. PowerSchool is also going to be something that needs to be mentioned, because some of the coaches have had difficulty logging into PowerSchool or having access to PowerSchool. That is the data system that DPI uses for their students, and the coaches need access to this system so that they can engage the student, they can get the background information, and it makes their job much, much easier when that is streamlined and they have easy access. Also, making sure that the number of coaches that you're requesting are going to be able to effectively serve the LEA. Like I mentioned before, if they're going to a different high school every day, then they're not really able to lay the foundations for those relationships. As far as the professional development plan that will be listed in the application, you're trying to prepare the coach for the high school setting. So that means when they go in, knowing the high school culture, knowing that there's different FERPA needs because they will be engaging with parents, making sure that they meet with the principal and the CDC, knowing the high school rules, the graduation requirements, that kind of thing, that will help them be more effective in their position. Also making sure that the coach is aware of advising at the college, that they're regularly engaged in those meetings so that they can know what's going on, they can know what pathways are being created or considered, so they can then, like I said, pass that along to the students. And also making sure that the coach is maintaining a relationship with the local business and industry leaders. So this could be through attending or being on the workforce development board in the area, if that's a possibility, to be a member, but they can go and present, and so that they can meet others in the area. And any college event that's going to have industry leaders, making sure that your coach is invited to that event so they can go ahead and establish those relationships. So then they will feel comfortable asking the leader if they can come in and do a presentation to the high school students, if maybe the students could go on a field trip and visit the job site. As far as the communication strategies, this is just kind of highlighting how are you going to address each one. We've got high school students listed. Are you going to be using the announcements across the PA system? Are you going to be using email? If your college has the capability, texting, social media, that kind of thing. With the faculty and staff, making sure that the coach is engaged and able to attend faculty meetings, that they are a part of any field trips that are applicable, and as well as the parents and guardians, any open house, any parent meeting. If the school is sending a mass email to parents, being able to insert something about a programming for the career coach will be advantageous. And then the communication strategy with the employers and stakeholders in the area. Kind of what I mentioned before, the workforce development board meetings, if you have a local business council, making sure that they're engaged with them in any events that you may have. The evaluation plan I am going to touch on in a little bit more detail in a future slide, so I'll wait on that one. The matching funds, you do have to list in attachment A what your matching funds are, and they cannot be state funds. Your attachment B is going to be your MOU, and there's a list and the instructions of what that entails. And you'll notice that I do make sure to mention that your MOU must state how the coach will have access to PowerSchool. And then you will be submitting the job description as attachment C. So as far as the review process, once the deadline of September 6th has passed, then the advisory committee will review the applications. And this committee is compiled of some members of the system office staff, a member from Department of Public Instruction, a member from Department of Commerce, and at least 3 representatives from the business community. So they will be together, they will review all the applications and score them. You'll notice in the instructions I do have how the points that you will have for each section. So that's how they are going to be evaluated. Our plan is that the notice of award will be submitted in December, so you'll have plenty of time to prepare. And we will also need to make sure that there's a confirmation of matching funds, just in case there was any issues. Okay, so let's go to some of the questions that were submitted. The first one was, are matching funds required for Tier 1 counties? And this question comes from, there is currently an item in the legislature budget that would allow for reduced matching funds for Tier 1 and Tier 2 counties. We're still waiting to hear about that. As you know, the budget has not been passed. So until it is passed, I will not be able to give you any details about this, just in case there is any modifications in the General Assembly. If it is passed, then I will communicate that out via email, the details. But do know that if they do decide to use last year's budget and just increase, that means that we will not have any reduced matching funds. So I will have to provide more detail about that at a later time whenever it's passed and we're able to send that out to all of the colleges. Okay. Some of the questions were, what is the measure to be used to determine the impact of career coaches on student choices, and is there an evaluation plan template? So these are some of the items that we look at when we're evaluating the program. Is it meeting the local industry needs? What are the current pathway options that are available to students? This is the CTE pathways for the high school and the community college. Was there any increase in the pathway enrollment that matches up with local industry needs? And were any pathway changes made based on local workforce demands? And then eventually we're going to get to surveying local businesses as well. One thing to note is that once you are a part of the program, we do have all of the programs submit a data report in June 30th. And currently that is an Excel document, and they list the number of students that they counseled per semester, so the fall and the spring. They list the unduplicated enrollment for CTE, CCP, and CTE, and CCP, CTP pathways. The number of pathways that were added, deleted, or changed, and then they also provide a number of partnership engagement activities. They do submit a one-page narrative on how they've engaged the local workforce. So I am moving to change this a little bit to provide a little bit less burden on the career coaches. For some of them, getting the information about pathways from the high school is a burden, so we're working on that currently. But as it states now, we still have the Excel document. You will be made aware if you are newly funded, what we will require of you for the evaluation. So, can funds be used for expenses other than salary and benefits, such as a computer, a printer, or office furniture? The funds are to be used for the salary, the benefits, and professional development of the coach. So any traveling that they're doing, if they're going to a conference, we do provide professional development activities through the system office, but there's going to be other opportunities that are applicable to them on the high school side as well that they will need to attend. So we do not currently have funds set aside for technology or furniture or anything of that nature. So like I mentioned, how is professional development provided? We typically have annually. In February, we have a supervisor's orientation. This is for the new cohort, the supervisors to kind of acclimate them to the program, They can ask any questions. That will be when the data report is talked about in depth and what they will need to collect. In April, we have a symposium that is open to all, which is the supervisors and the coaches. In late July or August, we have a new coach onboarding. We actually just had ours last week here at the system office. These are for any coach that has been hired in the last year, and it's just providing them an opportunity to meet with one another, find out what resources are available, and last week we actually connected them with mentors as well. So those that have been in the program for a while, so they would be able to ask them questions not only that day, but have their contact information throughout the next year. They can, if they have a question that they feel like they have someone to reach out to other than myself here at the system office. So those are the questions that were submitted, and now I will open it up if anyone has any questions. So if you're on the computer, you can type in the chat box. If you would like to unmute yourself, that's fine as well. If you're on the phone, just remember you're going to need to press *6 to unmute yourself. So I will open it up to any questions anyone may have. Okay, Patricia Holston has asked if the coaches have a high school supervisor and a community college supervisor. They only have a community college supervisor. While they are going to the high schools every day and they do need to have an office there, they are not supervised by anyone. Most of the coaches only go to the community college maybe once per week to do their data collection information, kind of organize all of that, but their supervisor would be only at the community college. Let's see, Camille Reese has asked if you will have a copy of the presentation. I'm actually recording the webinar now, so you will have a copy of that, but if you would like a copy of the presentation as well, that will be fine. I can send that out. So if you're funded in December 2019, then your funding will actually start in July of 2020. That's why we're giving you the heads up. We're letting you know in December, and then in February you will meet with the supervisor orientation, and that gives you can get all of the information, and then we want to have the new coaches hired by July 31st so they can attend that new coach onboarding. We're trying to give you plenty of time to establish the relationships, and I know the hiring process does take a bit at the community college system. So are we able to provide coaches for private and or charter schools? I know that some of our coaches currently serve charter schools, and I believe at least one private school, so yes. If you want to ask maybe a more detailed question, Tanika, then just shoot me an email. I'd be more than happy to answer your question. Let's see. For the legal counsel for the system office, what role in the RFP? We can actually meet if you'd like to plan a meeting in the next week or so. That would be fine with me. Let's see. I'm just going through the chat questions, but again, if you have a question and want to unmute yourself, that's fine. Okay, if your college recently received a Career Coach Award in the most recent round, would this be an issue in requesting another coach? No. The only thing that I want you to make sure is if you are currently funded for the 2019-2022, just remember that you're going to need to be able to track your coaches. So if you have 2 coaches that are funded through 2019-2022, and you have 1 through this new cohort, making sure you know when to apply for funding so that you can continue the funding of your program. So you would just need to keep those straight, basically. Okay, if you currently have a career coach program, do you refer to your program when completing the application, or do you write as if it's brand new? You can go ahead and write what you are currently doing, like your deployment plan. There's no need to create a completely new plan for another additional coach because they're just going to be implementing what you're already doing. So there's no need for it to be written as if brand new. Okay, let's see. Yes, you can ask for additional coaches in this RFP. I apologize, Isai, that you're not being able to get the audio, but like I said, I am recording this session, so I will be emailing it out because there were several individuals that were not able to attend. Is funding priority?
Okay.
Does somebody have a question? Okay. Is funding priority given to colleges who don't currently have a coach? We don't necessarily have weight on that. There's no extra points for having prior experience. We do have to account for geographic distribution of awards. So we try to make sure to take that into account. So they're not only concentrated in West, East, or Central, but they're evenly distributed as much as we can. Okay, we serve, Jay Sullivan, we serve 4 counties and 16 high schools. All 4 counties are Tier 1. Can we apply for a coach for each county? Absolutely. We have several community colleges that have 4 coaches. So that would absolutely be fine. Okay, let's see. We have another question. Who typically acts as a supervisor of the career coach at the community college? Is it under curriculum or student development or continuing education? I would say that the majority is under, well, maybe 50-50 under curriculum and student development. I don't have any in continuing education that I'm aware of. With job titles, sometimes that's a little bit harder to narrow down, but I don't see, it shouldn't be an issue as far as if it's in either of those areas. Okay, so Dr. Kelly, I see your question. JCC has 2 coaches, yes, and that were assigned during different fiscal years. Yes, you can submit the 2020-23 application. For additional coaches, as far as funding your coaches, you need to send me an email as far as the different fiscal years so I can more completely answer that question. Most likely you will need to apply for this year and next year. So I'll have to double check that. The education required of the career coach is a bachelor's degree. And so that is going to be listed in the application instructions. The required degree level is bachelor's. The required years of work experience is at least 1 year within the past 5 years. And then it has some examples of related work experience within the application instructions. If you do not have a copy of those, then if you'll send me an email today, then I'll be more than happy to send those out to you. Okay, let's see. Can I repeat the answer regarding the timeline of having to reapply if awarded this cycle? I think as far as when you are notified in December, then your funds will actually start in July of 2020. But we give you, the reason we're telling you so early in December, and then we have a February supervisor's orientation so that you can go ahead and prepare what you need to get this coach onboarded at the college, hired, and we know that sometimes takes a little bit of a process. Is there a template for JD that can be shared, Michelle? Do you mean, let's see, which plan are you referring to? If you could. Are you talking about the deployment or the evaluation? If you'll just give me a little bit more detail on that one, then I will be more than happy to answer your question. Career Coach JD. Job description. Okay. Yes, we do have a job description template that I can send to you, and I'm going to make a note and I will email that to you. Anyone else that would like it, I can send as well. Okay. If you'd like, I can send that as an attachment with the recording, and that way everyone that would like it can have access to it. Okay, great. You're welcome. Are there any other questions? And please don't hesitate, even after the Skype session. If you think of something that you just didn't get to ask, then just send me an email. I'll be more than happy to answer any of your questions. Because as you're writing, you may think of something in particular that you need to get some clarification. Just don't forget that the deadline is September 6th. I know that this is a very busy time for everyone. Okay, so I have a question about matching. And if you know that, if you're concerned about matching and you're a Tier 1 county, then I would recommend that you go ahead and apply. It could be that it goes through. I don't know. It literally is in limbo, so we'll have to just wait. But I would suggest that you go ahead and apply, and then if you find you're unable to meet your match, then you can let me know and withdraw your application. It is my hope that it will pass. You're welcome. We all know that budget negotiations can sometimes take a while, so I hate to be in limbo for this long, but it's the nature of the beast. Okay, so Kimberly Bryant has a question. She's not able to hear the audio, so I'm actually going to type out my answer after I let you guys know. Forsyth is actually in the 2019-2022 cycle, but they would like additional coaches. So she's asking if she would just need to email me the interest or if she has to submit an application. You would still have to submit an application, the full application like you did in the very beginning.
Hi.
Thinking about scanning your computer.
Oh, they did. I'm
You're
good.
fine.
Okay.
Thanks for reporting.
Oh, I got it. I'm good.
Okay, do we have any other questions?
That system actually drives me crazy. So certainly.
Well, I'll give it a few more minutes. Like I said, I want to be respectful of your time today, but wanted to be available in case anyone had any other questions. Okay, I thank you for your time today. Like I said, as you're writing, if you have any particular question that you don't feel like was addressed or you need some clarification, please do not hesitate to send me an email. Most of you already have my email address. Hopefully by the end of the day, then I will send out this recording along with the job description template that was requested before. I'll probably go ahead and attach the application and instructions just for those that may have missed those, just so you'll have access to that as well. Okay, thank you. Have a great day. Yes, I will send the application in a Word file. Tanika, thank you.